If we want to reduce poverty and misery, if we want to give to every deserving individual what is needed for a safe existence of an intelligent being, we want to provide more machinery, more power. Power is our mainstay, the primary source of our many-sided energies. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6 and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world. In the 21st century, the robot will take the place which slave labor occupied in ancient civilization. Instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction, or any other willful effort of the brain, is futile. Intelligent people tend to have less friends than the average person. The smarter you are, the more selective you become. Invention is the most important product of man's creative brain. The ultimate purpose is the complete mastery of mind over the material world, the harnessing of human nature to human needs. Inventions for wireless which I gave to the world in 1893 were applied universally. It is paradoxical, yet true, to say, that the more we know, the more ignorant we become in the absolute sense, for it is only through enlightenment that we become conscious of our limitations. Precisely one of the most gratifying results of intellectual evolution is the continuous opening up of new and greater prospects. It seems that I have always been ahead of my time. I had to wait 19 years before Niagara was harnessed by my system, 15 years before the basic. It's not the love you make, it's the love you give. Let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future, for which I have really worked, is mine. Life is and will ever remain an equation incapable of solution, but it contains certain known factors. Misunderstandings are always caused by the inability of appreciating one another's point of view. Modern science says, the sun is the past, the earth is the present, the moon is the future. From an incandescent mass we have originated, and into a frozen mass we shall turn. Merciless is the law of nature, and rapidly and irresistibly we are drawn to our doom. Most certainly, some planets are not inhabited, but others are, and among these there must exist life under all conditions and phases of development. Most persons are so absorbed in the contemplation of the outside world that they are wholly oblivious to what is passing on within themselves. My belief is firm in a law of compensation. The true rewards are ever in proportion to the labor and sacrifices made. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. My method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get a new idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination and make improvements and operate the device in my mind. When I have gone so far as to embody everything in my invention, every possible improvement I can think of, and when I see no fault anywhere, I put into concrete form the final product of my brain. My mother understood human nature better and never chided. She knew that a man cannot be saved from his own foolishness or vice by someone else's efforts or protests, but only by the use of his own will. Of all frictional resistances, the one that most retards human movement is ignorance, what Buddha called the greatest evil in the world. The friction which results from ignorance can be reduced only by the spread of knowledge and the unification of the heterogeneous elements of humanity. No effort could be better spent. Of all things, I liked books best. One of the great events in my life was my first meeting with Edison. This wonderful man, who had received no scientific training, yet had accomplished so much, filled me with amazement. I felt that the time I had spent studying languages, literature and art was wasted, though later, of course, I learned this was not so. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment and merging of races, and we are still far from this blissful realization. So astounding are the facts in this connection, that it would seem as though the Creator, himself had electrically designed this planet. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. The day will soon come when I will show the world that the transmission of power and speech without the aid of any wires is possible. The desire that guides me in all I do is the desire to harness the forces of nature to the service of mankind. The earth is bountiful, and where her bounty fails, nitrogen drawn from the air will refertilize her womb. I developed a process for this purpose in 1900. It was perfected 14 years later under the stress of war by German chemists. The feeling is constantly growing on me that I had been the first to hear the greeting of one planet to another. The gift of mental power comes from God, divine being, and if we concentrate our minds on that truth, we become in tune with this great power. The harness of waterfalls is the most economical method known for drawing energy from the sun. The history of science shows that theories are perishable. With every new truth that is revealed, we get a better understanding of nature, and our conceptions and views are modified. The human being is a self-propelled automaton entirely under the control of external influences. Willful and predetermined though they appear, his actions are governed not from within, but from without. He is like a float tossed about by the waves of a turbulent sea. The individual is ephemeral, races and nations come and pass away, but man remains. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His duty is to lay the foundation for those who are to come and point the way. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. The spread of civilization may be likened to a fire, first, a feeble spark, next a flickering flame, then a mighty blaze, ever increasing in speed and power. The trend of opinion among eugenists is that we must make marriage more difficult. Certainly no one who is not a desirable parent should be permitted to produce progeny. There is no conflict between the ideal of religion and the ideal of science, but science is opposed to theological dogmas because science is founded on fact. There is no energy in matter other than that received from the environment. There is no memory or attentive faculty based on lasting impression. What we designate as memory is but increased responsiveness to repeated stimuli. Though free to think and act, we are held together, like the stars in the firmament, with ticks inseparable. These ticks cannot be seen, but we can feel them. To me, the universe is simply a great machine which never came into being and never will end. The human being is no exception to the natural order. Man, like the universe, is a machine. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. We are all one. We are whirling through endless space, with an inconceivable speed. All around everything is spinning, everything is moving, everywhere there is energy. We crave for new sensations but soon become indifferent to them. The wonders of yesterday are today common occurrences. We may produce at will, from a sending station, an electrical effect in any particular region of the globe. We may determine the relative position or course of a moving object, such as a vessel at sea, the distance traversed by the same, or its speed. What one man calls God, another calls the laws of physics. With ideas it is like with dizzy heights you climb. At first they cause you discomfort and you are anxious to get down, distrustful of your own powers, but soon the remoteness of the turmoil of life and the inspiring influence of the altitude calm your blood, your step gets firm and sure and you begin to look for dizzier heights.